Developing tonight, the story we've been talking about for a couple of days here, a recall of ice cream for the Big Olaf Creamery. It comes a week after the Florida Department of Health linked a listeria outbreak to the Sarasota-based creamery. At least two lawsuits have already been filed against this company after one woman died and another had a miscarriage. Let's go to Fox 13's Janae Lewis in our newsroom. I know, Janae, you spent the day talking with state health leaders, and you've learned a little bit more about this. What's the latest tonight here at 10?
Yeah, Mark, I learned today samples were taken from Big Olaf this week. They're now being tested at a state lab. As that part of the investigation happens, doctors say it's important to get any potentially contaminated product off the shelves.
And to me, selling an ice cream cone, it's just not worth that risk. And so I'm at a loss. I really am. It's just something I've never seen in 30 years of doing these cases.
Nearly a week after linking a multi-state listeria outbreak to ice cream, the Department of Health says Big Olaf has agreed to a recall. So far, 23 people have gotten sick, one woman died, and a pregnant woman suffered a miscarriage. Nearly all live in or travel to Florida. The CDC now says 18 people reported eating ice cream. Of those, 10 said that it was Big Olaf ice cream or at a place that might have sold it. The agency is now looking for other possible links associated with this outbreak.
So I think the other piece of this is just to make sure that there, aren't any other products on the market that could also be part of this outbreak. So that's a routine part of every outbreak investigation, to really make sure that we have our full arms around what might be going on.
Big Olaf initially called the investigation for possible listeria contamination speculation. But the Department of Health says the company since agreed to stop production. The CDC says that's important to prevent more people from getting sick.
For retail locations that have received Big Olaf ice cream, it's really important to make sure that they clean and sanitize the equipment in their retail location, the ice cream scoops, things like that, just to make sure that any traces of contamination left over are cleaned and that it's safe to kind of continue to serve ice cream there.
State leaders confirmed to Fox 13 it collected samples and inspected Big Olaf's processing facility this week.
One thing I really want to point out with listeria is it can grow on pieces of machinery that are used in processing. So for example, an ice cream machine may be able to grow listeria on it. I'm going to assume that the samples that were taken have really looked at all of that.
Doctors say what happens next is critical.
So what will really be the definitive evidence is if the Department of Health samples that they took at the creamery and at the locations actually end up coming up positive for listeria.
Now, we're told those samples were sent to a lab in Tallahassee, and the goal is to have the results by early next week. In the meantime, the CDC says if you have Big Olaf ice cream at home, you need to throw it away.
Janae Lewis in our newsroom. Janae, thanks very much.